Howdy folks, here we are again. Thanks for riding along with me. I am still trying to work my way through all of this federal drone legislation. I was so hoping we would be done with this national level stuff, and I'd be using our traffic time to talk about state laws and policy trends. But the feds just won't leave us alone. Some big and scary bills have been introduced into the House and Senate this year. So, this is Traffic Time episode number 4. The feds are taking away our sky. I talked in depth about what I thought was the big one in the last episode. That was the Drone Federalism Act of 2017. It was just the tip of the iceberg. There have been a lot of other bills introduced this year. I haven't heard any reporting about these, and I just wasn't paying attention to what was going on in Washington. Before we get into any details, I wanted to paint a picture of what our elected officials, those senators and representatives, what they're exposed to when it comes to drones. When they hear the word drone, this is the type of current legislation they may be associating with it. The Federal Aviation Administration Reauthorization Act of 2017, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2018, Build Bridges Not Walls Act, Comprehensive Strategy to Destroy ISIS Act of 2017, Pakistan State Sponsor of Terrorism Designation Act of 2017, Stop Militarizing Law Enforcement Act, Combating Terrorism in Tunisia Emergency Support Act of 2017. None of these really have anything to do with commercial or recreational small UAS that we fly, but they all include direct or indirect references to drones, in most cases with a negative connotation. This probably influences their opinion when they hear the word drone. Remember, these folks may know nothing about drones, except what they may see on CNN, or read in a report about some ill-conceived drone airstrike conducted in some distant country, or some dangerous drone video footage that their kid might be watching on YouTube. As a voter, voicing positive support of drones to your legislators may also influence them. Some helpful education on how you fly them for commercial benefits and recreational uses may change their opinion in a positive way. Direct, hands-on connection with their constituents. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video that will help you connect to those good people you voted for and who represent you in Washington. Smiley face if the dash cam was pointed at me. Okay, let's move on to the real legislation that has a direct impact on us, the small UAS pilots. I want to keep this video relatively short, so I'm only going to briefly touch on 8 current bills I found. Those are the ones that are making their way through Congress right now. There won't be any long analysis of these bills in the video today, but I will put a copy of all of these bills on OPG's website in a PDF format so you can download them and read them for yourselves. And you can find those at www.oldponggeezer.com. I'll also put a link in the description if you'd rather pull these down from the official congressional website, and that's congress.gov. Because the reason our chat today needs to be short is there are a few of these bills that warrant everyone's immediate attention and action. I only hope and ask that you pass this information along, share this video, or get others involved. And I hope you all act today, because a few of these bills are simply draconian. As drone pilots, our basic rights and our access to the national airspace is in jeopardy, and it's serious. I said that I could only find 8 relevant bills introduced in Congress this year. First, let me introduce you to the bills that I think are relatively innocuous. They probably will add to the confusion of the legal landscape or cause problems down the road, but the intent is clear and generally supportive, and the titles will speak for themselves. First, we have the bill H.R. 1138 that was introduced in February 16th, and it's called the Wildfire Airspace Protection Act of 2017. The next one is H.R. 2930, introduced June 16th, and that's known as the Drone Innovation Act of 2017. And finally, we have S. 1410, introduced June 22nd, and that's called the Safe Drone, in capital letters, Act of 2017. And in this case, DRONE stands for Development, Research, and Opportunities Needed for Entrepreneurship. So just know that these bills have been introduced and your senators and representatives may be voting on them, and it wouldn't hurt to become familiar with them, but they're generally positive. Next, let's look at some of the more problematic bills that have been introduced this year. Problematic because they cause as many problems, or maybe more, than they potentially solve. The first one is HR 129. That was introduced way back in January 3rd, and it's called the NADA Act of 2017. And in this case, NADA stands for No Armed Drones Act of 2017. The next one we have is the one that I did a video on in traffic time number 3, and that was introduced May 25th, and that's the Drone Federalism Act of 2017. I did a full analysis on that one. And finally, in this category, we have HR 2997, introduced June 22nd, and this one is called the 21st Century Air AIRR Act. And there's an entire section of this bill that is about UASs in general. And it's a lot like the FAA's Modernization Reform Act of 2012. It's almost like they're trying to rewrite the whole thing. And it's really long, hundreds of pages, and that's just something you have to download and take a look at. Finally, let's consider the two devils. These two bills should scare the props off of everyone. They go well beyond protecting the national airspace or the public, and they seem to directly attack and criminalize the small UAS operators. These two bills are nearly identical and were introduced, one to the Senate and one to the House, just a day apart. These two you really need to read for yourselves and take action. There will be an in-depth analysis in a future traffic time video, but these bills demand immediate attention. Don't wait for old Pong Geezer to opine on these. Do something about it now. The first one is S631, introduced March 15th. It's called the Drone Aircraft Privacy and Transportation Act of 2017. The second one is HR 1526, introduced March 16th, and that has the same title, Drone Aircraft Privacy and Transparency Act of 2017. You just have to read one of these for yourselves. Pick one. They're 23 pages long, but they're double-spaced, and in true government fashion, about a third of each page is wasted space. So it's really not that long of a read. Please, pause this video, download the text of these bills off OPG's website or the congress.gov website, and read them. Read them right now. Call the sponsors of these bills, and call your local legislators. Go ahead, pause the video. I'll just drive really slowly until you get back. Okay, thanks for that. Doesn't that make you feel better? You called, right? If you didn't, or you don't see any reason to be concerned, that's okay. Allow me to lay out my opinion on these two bills in the next traffic time video, and then maybe we can have a full discussion. And maybe I'm just overreacting. Maybe. But consider these pair of devil bills. If instead of drones, what if the population these bills were targeting were the owners of those snooping, eavesdropping, data collecting, cell phone cameras that are constantly invading everyone's privacy? What if all of these regulations apply to every man, woman, and child in the US as the owner-operator of any type of cell phone with a camera? I'll bet more people's privacy has been violated by cell phone cameras in the last 6 months than all of the potential drone instances ever. So that's all for now. This stuff is going to make me get in a wreck. Please, get familiar with these bills. Until next time, drive safe, fly safe, OPG out.